Most people spend their entire lives believing one lie about money, a lie repeated by parents, teachers, employers, and even well-meaning financial advice. A lie so common that most people never realize it's quietly keeping them poor. The lie sounds reasonable. In fact, it sounds so reasonable that millions of people dedicate their entire lives to it, work hard, earn more money, and eventually wealth will follow. Sounds logical. After all, that's what most of us were taught. Study hard, get good grades, find a good job, work your way up, and one day you'll be financially successful. But there's one problem. Millions of people have followed that advice perfectly, and they're still not wealthy. Some work 60-hour weeks, some earn six-figure salaries, some spend decades climbing the corporate ladder, yet they're still stressed about money, still worried about retirement, still living paycheck to paycheck. So what if the biggest thing holding people back isn't laziness, or bad luck, or intelligence? What if it's a belief they've carried their entire lives? Today we're exposing the biggest lie about money, and once you see it, you'll never look at wealth the same way again. Let's begin. Most of us grow up hearing the same advice: work harder, earn more, get promoted, increase your income, and eventually you'll become wealthy. But buried inside that advice is a dangerous assumption, an assumption so common that most people never notice it. It quietly keeps millions of people stuck financially for decades. We'll come back to that assumption in a moment. Because first, I want you to think about something. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to earn more money every year, yet never seem to get ahead? Maybe you've experienced this yourself. You work hard, you get a raise, you feel excited, and 6 months later, your bank account looks exactly the same. The raise disappeared, the stress didn't, and somehow, you still feel like you're running in place. Maybe you felt this before. You did everything right, you worked harder, you earned more, and somehow, your life didn't feel any freer. That's when people start wondering, if I'm making more money, why don't I feel wealthier? Where did the money go? That's the question most people never stop to ask. And here's the part most people never see. The advice itself isn't wrong. The problem is what people assume the advice will lead to. Because hidden inside that belief is one dangerous idea, an idea that quietly keeps millions trapped. And that idea is this: hard work automatically creates wealth, and that's the lie. Now let's be clear. Hard work matters, discipline matters, responsibility matters, but hard work alone is not enough. Because if hard work automatically created wealth, the richest people in society would be the ones working the longest hours. Construction workers, nurses, teachers, factory workers. Many of the hardest working people in the world would be millionaires, yet many are still struggling. Why? Because wealth and work are not the same thing, and understanding that difference changes everything. Let me ask you a question. Imagine two people. The first person earns $100,000 per year and spends $95,000. The second person earns $70,000 per year and consistently invests $20,000. Who becomes wealthier over time? Most people instinctively focus on the higher income because income is visible, income gets attention, income feels important. But wealth doesn't care how much you earn. Wealth cares about what you keep and what you own. If both people continue this pattern for 20 years, the results become shocking. The higher earner may have earned hundreds of thousands of dollars more, but the investor builds ownership, assets, investments, compounding. 20 years later, one person has a larger paycheck history, the other has a portfolio worth over $1 million. One earned more, the other owns more, and ownership wins. Think about that. The person earning $30,000 less can end up dramatically wealthier, not because they worked harder, not because they were smarter, but because they understood a different game. Now I know what some of you are thinking. That sounds great, but I don't have $20,000 per year to invest. And honestly, most people don't. But that's not the point. The point is the habit. If you can't invest $1,000, start with 100. If you can't invest 100, start with 10. Because wealth isn't built by one giant decision, it's built by thousands of small decisions repeated consistently. The goal isn't perfection, the goal is ownership, and that's where everything changes. This is why some high-income earners are secretly broke, and why some ordinary people quietly become millionaires. The wealthy don't just work for money, they buy things that work for them. Businesses, investments, real estate, ownership. Assets produce income, assets produce growth, assets create leverage, and leverage is what separates income from wealth. But here's the part that shocked me the most. The wealthiest people often focus on something completely different than income, and once you understand it, you'll never look at your paycheck the same way again. Most people spend their lives trying to increase income. The wealthy spend their lives trying to increase ownership. That's a very different game. One person asks, "How can I make more money?" The other asks, "How can I own more assets?" One person chases paychecks, the other accumulates ownership, and over time, the gap becomes enormous. Because there are only so many hours in a day, you can always earn more money, but you can never create more time. That's why wealthy people eventually stop relying entirely on trading time for money and start building systems, things that continue producing value whether they're working or not. Businesses, investments, assets, ownership. Now don't misunderstand this. Increasing your income is important, very important. Income is the fuel, but ownership is the engine. And fuel without an engine doesn't take you very far. That's the mistake millions of people make. They spend their entire lives trying to earn more without learning how to own more. And ownership is where wealth is actually built. So if there's one thing I hope you take away from this video, it's this. Stop asking, "How can I earn more money?" and start asking, "How can I own more assets?" Because that's the question wealthy people quietly ask themselves for decades. And the answer changes everything. Think about it. 10 years from now, one person will still be chasing the next raise. The other will be collecting the rewards of ownership. One will be asking, "How can I earn more?" The other will be asking, "How much do I own?" And that simple difference can completely change a life. Because wealth isn't built by working forever. Wealth is built by owning things that keep working for you. That's the truth most people discover too late. And now, you're one of the people who doesn't have to. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn how ordinary people build extraordinary wealth, subscribe to Wealth Roots 101, because financial freedom isn't built through secret strategies. It's built through simple actions repeated consistently, and those actions can change your life forever.